TCU survived most of the game. The Jayhawks easily won over Baylor after trailing by 13. They came up with a 16-point win. Jalen Wilson scored 21. Kansas will play TCU tonight. Kansas played TCU 5 versus 22. Kansas came out with the win as they won by 63-58. They kept their lead the most of the game and they survived. The Jayhawks will play West Virginia on Saturday. Came back on Iowa State after trailing by 8. Over the weekend, the Wildcats outscore at the end of the first half. They were up by 8 Cyclones. The Cats outscored them 38-24. Marquise Noel led all scorers with 20. But he shot 8 of 8 from the free throw line. Kansas State plays Baylor. Kansas State to host, but Baylor is favored by 1.5. Tip is at 6. The Missouri Tigers lose to Texas A&M. Mizzou, if you can't hit the threes in the first 10 minutes or the first 20 minutes at least, go to the hole. I know you're a bigger team, and you can come with fire whenever you need to, but play the inside and out game a little more, and it will open up players for the three-pointer. Kobe Brown led all scorers to 24. Mizzou is back to 500. They need another player than Kobe Brown to show up. It'd be nice for 3 people to average 15 or more. In my opinion, Texas A&M is the second best team in the SEC, even though Tennessee is rated higher. Alabama has only lost 1 game. Kentucky and Tennessee have lost 5, not 9 and 5. Tonight in the SECs, Missouri will play Mississippi State. That game tips off at 6. Missouri is favored by 3.5. Mizzou did lose to Mississippi State by 9 at 69-60. Mississippi State has came alive of late and looks like a tournament team as of right now, dismissing their early struggles. Mississippi State and Missouri tip off at 6 from Columbia. And also a number in the SEC, 11 will play 25. Tip is at 6. It will be Tennessee 20-7, Texas A&M 20-7. Texas A&M is favored by 2. Expect this to tell you who the second best team in the SEC is. That's our first part. Now we move on to Eric Bieniemy. I'll give you a couple reasons on why Eric Bieniemy hasn't been hired, and then we'll go on to tomorrow for part 2. The first player, let's start out with, he struggled for interviews with the media when he first got to Kansas City. Although he's gotten better, he was awful to start. He got better. Does it transfer into that interview? That is questionable if he's the same or better. He's not much good anyway, so who knows? Are they worried about his success with Mahomes? Meaning, are they worried that he had success with Mahomes and that was the only way he had success as the offensive coordinator and had some talent? For the first 4 years, he had Tyreek Hill. That happened to be with when Mahomes was the best quarterback in the game. Is the factor that Andy Reid doesn't call the plays? If you tell me that, I don't think it's the primary reason. It makes more sense to me that Matt Nagy and Doug Peterson got hired, who were still Doug Peterson's still a very good head coach. Now the head coach of the Jags, Matt Nagy was the head coach of the Bears. Likely to take over for the offense, Chiefs offense, is Matt Nagy. Of course, Eric Bieniemy was hired by the Washington football team Commanders as their offensive coordinator, the same place he was as a Chief. He had his run, ends with the law, 1989. Bieniemy was at Western Minster, Colorado, for driving a deactivated vehicle in Aruna, Colorado, for speeding. In 1990, his license was suspended a year after another traffic violation. On March 20th, 1991, Bieniemy was caught speeding and driver's license suspended in Interstate 70 near a rifle Colorado at 92 miles an hour in a 65-mile-an-hour zone. On April 17th, 1991, Bieniemy failed to appear in court. Charges were relating March 21st. A bench warrant was issued for Colorado. His arrest, April 23rd, 1991, 2 days after Eric Bieniemy was drafted into the NFL. On July 4th, 1990, Bieniemy pled to no contest interfering with firefighter who has been performing duties extinguishing a fire. Bieniemy's mother garage. Bieniemy received an 8-month suspended sentence and was supposed to for one game starting the fire also in his mom's garage. He pled agreement training session as applied in a plea agreement, but Bieniemy arrested the session was optional. On September 27th, 1993, Bieniemy was arrested in Boulder, Colorado for allegedly harassing a female and parking attendant. According to the police report, while friends of Bieniemy put attendant's neck, starting her, she told the police that Bieniemy and his friend took off his pants and began to urinating nearby. Bieniemy also named an outstanding warrant on a charge of driving suspended license as a result of the incident. Bieniemy was banned from the University of Colorado Boulder campus for 1 year. In April of 2001, Bieniemy was arrested for driving under the influence and was docked a month's pay. I'm not going to beat around the bush and say part of the reason that he's African American. A lot of the announcers seem to do that. Let's be honest. Just put the name on it. I'll put the name on it. It is because he's African American in some sort of reason. Let's discuss for a moment the Texans.
When Alex Smith was playing, which season are we referring to? Like his entire career? Because you got to figure he had hard years when he started out in San Francisco where they had nothing.
When he was a Chief.
Then they got when he was a Chief.
Was he?
See, when he was the Chief, it really went on it trended upwards. If you really think about it, as the talent got better, he got better. As Andy Reid got there, he definitely got better.
Andy Reid was with him the whole time.
And I mean, well, that's my point. It's like when he got with Andy Reid, he finally really showed everything. He got them to a certain point. He got them to that certain point of the divisional round. He didn't like to take a lot of chances. And so I had him in the top 10 of quarterbacks. I wouldn't say he was top 5. I'm trying to think of who all was in the league at the time. I mean, at that time, I think you had like Brady, you had Rodgers, obviously. You had people like that. Trying to think of some of his other contemporaries.
Philip
Rivers, Peyton Manning. What am I missing? The good Russell Wilson, Cam Newton. Never Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins might have been starting at the time, but he was never that good. But so Alex Smith he was in the top 10.
So he's just as good as Prescott. You say that?
No.
You can't?
You could be top 10. Just because you're ranked in the top 10 doesn't mean you're as good or better. I mean, because you have to consider there's so much more that goes into like ranking a quarterback.